here are the standings in the Classical. After 5 rounds, Vishy Anand with 3.5, Carl Nakamura with 3, Kramnik with 2.5, Caruana, Karyakin, and Aronian with 2. Now we go into the rapid games. We're going to play 5 of those. It's going to be interesting. Can Nakamura overtake Anand? Can Anand hold the lead? Can Kramnik come back from behind? We'll have to see. Games to come. Hi folks, John Cordisco here. This is another part of the Zurich Chess Challenge 2015. This is the rapid portion of the tournament. They played 5 what they call classical games at regular longer time controls. In the first place is Vishy Anand. In second place, just a half a point behind, is Carl Nakamura. And in third place is Vladimir Kramnik. So what's going to happen now is they're going to play 5 rounds of rapid chess, 15 minutes per side at a 5-second increment. This is a game I picked from round 1. Carl Nakamura is white, my buddy from the U.S., and Fabiano Caruana is black, Italian-American. To tell you the truth, Fabiano is really an American. Let's get to it. It's going to be in English. Go through the first few moves here. No point in really going over openings. You can do that on your own. Knight F3. Knight here. Now, knight doesn't really go to F6 because that bishop is got really powerful right there. It doesn't want to block it off. So the knight goes to E7, rook B1, B6. Carl castles and bishop B7 for Caruana. Now queen to D2, and I was put some arrows there to show that I was surprised he didn't put out the dark square bishop first, but you're going to see why in a minute. Queen to D2, A5, B3. That's how he's going to develop the bishop, by putting it on B2. Computer's got a minute advantage for white at this point off screen. We'll call it even. D5. Remember, this is rapid now, so I'm not going to go too much in depth. Knight E1. Knight D4. Queen goes back. Rook B8. Knight A4. E5 for Caruana. And knight to C2 for Carl, challenging the knight on D4. Bishop C6. Knight E3. Knight E6. Knight C3. They're going to go, uh-oh, you're going to lose a piece. Well, not really. After D4, knight goes here. D takes. Knight takes, check. Important, there's a check. Queen takes, and then bishop takes. There's no loss. Computer likes E takes F2 check, and then rook takes. But Caruana, of course, we're on move 21. This is rapid, remember. Goes knight to D4. White doesn't really want to take that because it'll reconnect his pawns, and it looks like pretty cramped up for white. So Carl goes bishop D5. Bishop H6. F3. Bishop G5. It's about even. It's a game. Bishop C3. I think Carl's doing okay considering how cramped he is. H5. Here come the pawns. B4. Takes, takes. H4. G4. A little weak on the dark squares around the white king, but we'll see how that works out. Good spot for that bishop. F4. Carl goes king to H1. Interesting. Looks like some kind of weird King's Indian setup with the pawns pushed on the king side. H3. B5. Closing the position up, but he's got to get some space somewhere. He doesn't have any. Rook to D8. Rook G1. Okay. Computer shows a full point advantage for black, believe it or not. Probably due with the fact that white is so cramped. The only way he can get that dark square bishop out in C3 is to take the knight. He can't get out. Unless he comes back around through this way somehow. King G7. Now remember, this is rapid. We're on move 31 for black, and this is where I think Fabiano miscues. And frankly, I think it's a very natural move. He decides to He took a shot here. He decided to sacrifice the exchange. Move the bishop on A8. He wants to get some play. He can't seem to get through. Computer like queen H4 instead, and that actually I like that myself, for that queen getting in. But rook to A8, Carl took, rook takes, rook A1, rook takes, bishop takes, queen H4. Basically the same scenario, but sacrifices the exchange. Now he's probably thinking that bishop on A1 is worthless. It's almost like being up a piece. Rook to F1. Carl has to tread very carefully here. I also want to remind you that the fact that Carl is just behind Anand in the Classical. And Caruana is pretty far down the list for the Classical, so his chances of winning the tournament are basically zero. So Carl's got to feel a little bit of pressure here, being he's pushed so far back and black has so much space. Queen H8, going to get the queen in the game. Bishop C3. Queen A8, rook E1, queen B7. The computer likes the queen back to D8 or H8, oddly enough. Queen to B7. I think that this is the point where maybe Fabiano's low on time. I mean, Carl is one of the best bullet players in the world, and that's 1 minute chess. But he's a very good rapid player as well. One of the best players in the world, Caruana Nakamura. Rook to G1. Just maneuvering around, trying to find something here, waiting to see what black's going to do. He finally takes the knight. And the computer likes that as well. Now at this point, believe it or not, it shows about a point and a third advantage for white. Maneuvering that queen around and getting him kind of out of play really, really hurt Caruana. E takes, course takes back. And this is where I think Carl makes a mistake. And the computer didn't like it at all. The computer liked G5, hemming in that bishop. Carl went queen A1. And a lot of white's advantage went down. But then, on top of that, remember it is rapid, so you give him some forgiveness here. Queen, there. Now he goes G5. Bishop takes, rook to G4. Now Carl's got the rook out. As we all know, rooks like open spaces. Since Caruana sacrificed the exchange, he's got to do something to get in the game. Bishop D6, rook H4, here we go. But computer like queen to F1 better. And then after queen to H8, F4. And I'll tell you the truth, I do like that better. Rook to H4, H2. At least protect the pawn with the bishop. Queen to F1. He's bringing the queen around. Queen A8. King G2. And I think Caruana was really low on time. He goes queen to B7. Big question mark on the computer. Single question mark. Queen E1. Queen A8. Rook E4. The queen's getting in the game for white. The points are piling up. It's almost a 2-point advantage now for Carl. And F6 is the computer's choice. Get that pawn out of there because that queen and pawn are going to harass that king. He goes queen to H8 instead. F6 the computer liked G takes and then king F7. He might have survived. But after queen to H8, queen to H4, queen takes, rook takes, F6. Black is doomed. Pawn takes, king takes, rook H7. And king F5. What's he going to do? After rook to B7, he can't protect that pawn. He's doomed. Bishop B7 is the move to try to protect the pawn. He best they can't block off the rook, but that rook's going to have free reign to get all over the place. He's going to grab the pawn on H2 next once that bishop moves. And after king to F4, Fabiano Caruana resigned. So that's a win for Carl Nakamura from the U.S. In the classical, you get 2 points for a win. In the rapid here, you get 1 point as normal. So Carl's trying to get back in the hunt, trying to catch up with Anand. Anyway, that's the game from round 1, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Look for Games 2, 3, and 4 coming up. I didn't do a video on round 5 because they were all draws and they were fairly boring. Anyway, folks, as I always say, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.